August 3rd, 1917, to late Annie Chapel and Garfield Edwards on a farm in Lowndes County, Alabama, near the city of Montgomery, Alabama.
Grew up in Alabama, and I came north to Michigan with my brother, my older brother, John. He came here in 1934 as a hobo, and he secured employment at Chrysler Corporation's Dodge plant and came back in 1936 and suggested that there was a better life in Michigan.
The early part of 1937, was hired at this Chrysler Corporation Dodge plant in Hamtramck, Michigan. Shortly thereafter, he was elected to line steward by his fellow workers, and it marked the beginning of his leadership in the role of the UAW.
Why do you think he was elected a union steward so early in his career?
I would say people skills and the desire and the hunger to help people.
Industrial freedom were more important in the early years than were civil rights in a sense, because if we could achieve industrial freedom in the shops, then that would be a real step toward getting it outside of the shop.
And he was elected to the local bargaining committee in 1944. And a year later was elected chairman of the committee. In 1948, Jack was appointed international representative of the UAW and assigned to Region 1A on the Detroit's west side, and held that post for 14 years until May 1962, when the UAW convention delegates elected him International Executive Board Member at Large.
Our institution, or our organization, is about people and their problems. Our total resources in the UAW is committed to solving problems of our members and the communities in which they live. Nothing else.
He was re-elected to that post in 1964 through 66 and 68 and 1970. He was elevated to the position of Vice President of the International Union.
Tonight we talk with the highest ranking black figure in the labor movement, UAW International Vice President Nelson Jack Edwards.
I'm sure there probably were people in the UAW that did not want to see him to excel to that position. I would have to say I'm astounded that he got to the position that he did. And he had to have gotten there being a very personable and likable guy.
I would say the latter is true. It is my constituency. I have always felt at home in the black community. I have always felt at ease with all of my friends I've made over the years, and of course many has befriended me. I think the black community have a right to expect from one in my position or other elected positions, be it in the labor movement or in politics, to get from that person that which is not normally received from many others. And by that I mean the requirements are there to have me go beyond the normal call of duty.
Jack was asked by the president to go to Alabama in '63 to help the African Americans in their struggle for freedom. That's the kind of man he was. We know that was not a part of his job description, you know, but that was him putting his life on the line for people. Not African Americans, for people. I have a speech that he wrote regarding that incident, where he talks about dogs being released on blacks, African Americans, and water hoses, and just the brutality of it. It sickened him. It sickened him to witness something like that happening to people on the streets, and our government endorsing it. I didn't know anything about Willie Edwards. What happened to Willie Edwards in '57. I found out about that during my research into Jack's history. And my cousin Linda asked me if I was doing a story on the family. And she asked me, did I know about what had happened to Willie Edwards? And I was like, no. And she proceeded to tell me, and I went online a few times, but I was not able to find anything, and I did, and it was about him being forced to jump off a bridge in Alabama. What made me want to learn more about Jack, it was growing up in Cincinnati, there were no Edwards men around, so I was raised in a household with my mom, grandma, and my sister, and she had two sisters who had also moved up from Alabama and resided in Alabama. Resided in Cincinnati. And I thought that I would say a lot of not knowing much about my family carries over from the days of slavery. There were lots of things that were just not talked about. I would overhear them talking about Jack from time to time, or I very vividly recall picking up, say, the Jet magazine in 1962 and reading an article about him being elected to, I would say at that time, one of the head representatives of the UAW had begun to gain some notoriety. And other than that, then it was kind of dismissed and life kind of went on, and I know family would come to visit from Detroit, and I would wonder to myself, everybody would come from Detroit, they'd be driving these new automobiles all the time, and lo and behold, they were all working in the factories. Jack had spent time, he dedicated his life to bringing people up from lower Alabama and putting them to work in the factories. I'd say, I don't know, probably thousands of people somehow he helped to bring up from Alabama through the factories to get them to work in Detroit, and it was a perpetual thing that continued. And being here in Hawaii, I felt somewhat far away from family than I'd ever been in my life. You know, being around the world and you know, making friends and meeting people was something that I practically could say I spent most of my life doing. And here in Hawaii, I found that my wife had a lot of family here, and family is so important. And I think getting on in age, recently having a birthday, I'm learning to appreciate family more, having more of an awareness for family. I would say sparked my interest and desire to go out and reconnect with family. Well, along with getting the desire to find out more about Jack, and I had done all the research I could, I'd say online, and through